Yo, guys, what's good? I just got this new camera. Shout out to my cousin Michael. Let me know if you guys like it in the comments. But you know, it's August 17th, 2025, right? We're 8 months into the year. Bro, 8 months have already passed by. It's insane. The sunset right now, or the sunrise, is absolutely beautiful. Guys, let me show you. Let me show you real quick. Look at this. Look, this is absolutely beautiful. This is why I love waking up so early, because you know, it's just so beautiful seeing the sun, you know, come up and shit. But basically, guys, you know, I'm out here in this random parking lot. You know, I've been on my self-improvement journey for 4 months, right? April 7th, I made the decision to go all in, and you know, I'm just here documenting my journey, documenting everything. Yeah, 4 months. These 4 months have honestly flown by, like absolutely flown by. It's like we're 4 months away from the end of 2025. Isn't that crazy? 2026 is about to start in 4 months. Bro, how many of you guys watching this? Oh shit, the lights just turned off. But it's like, bro, how many of you guys watching this, you know, you might have said by the end of summer you were gonna accomplish something, or by this time you thought you would have been in a different situation, and it hasn't happened. You know what I mean? And I used to do that same exact thing. I would always make goals. I would always say I was gonna do these things, but you know, once the time passed, I hadn't accomplished anything. And you know, the biggest lesson is just that, you know, today's the only opportunity you have. You know, like, today is the biggest blessing we have. We can't control the past, right? The past already happened. And you know, there's a lot of people, and they always constantly think in the past. They always think about the things they've done in the past, when in reality, every single day is new. You know, the accomplishments you made yesterday don't roll over onto today. Today you have to make a new set of accomplishments, a new set of goals, a new set of achievements. That's exactly what I do every single day. And you know, guys, I'm just documenting my journey. This is like day 100 and I don't know, maybe 130 around there of my self-improvement journey. Let me ask Siri, actually. Let me see. Where's my phone? Fuck. Yo. I think I just lost. Oh, it's right here. Hey Siri, how many days has it been since April 7th?
Do you want me to use ChatGPT to...
Yeah, use ChatGPT. Hold up. Give me 1 second.
It has been 100...
I got it right. 131 days. So I've been on my self-improvement journey for 131 days. I've been posting consistently since March, so it's actually more than that. And I've, you know, just developed so much as a person. You know what I mean? And the biggest thing that came with that is just sacrifices, right? You know, sacrificing is the only way that you're genuinely going to accomplish your goals, you know? And you know, without any sacrifices at all, you're just gonna stay stuck. You're gonna stay in the same, you know, position you've always been in. And you know, when I first made the decision to go all in, the biggest thing I had to sacrifice was, you know, finances, right? I had to sacrifice the money I had in my bank account in order for me to gain new knowledge, in order for me to, you know, basically shortcut my path to success. Because the only shortcut to success is finding somebody who's already done the same thing, and then them teaching you everything that they know and how they got there step by step. Because there's certain things that you just can't search up. There's certain things that you can't just get these things without somebody who has already been in those shoes and been in that situation. I had to sacrifice that. I had to sacrifice caring about the opinions of others, right? That's something that would limit me my whole entire life. I always lived for others. I always cared about what other people think, what other people thought. And that's exactly what limited me. That's exactly what kept me in the same situation. That's exactly what kept me in a box. And you know, the more I've matured, I've realized that everyone puts themselves in a certain type of box, right? Everyone puts these self-limitations on themselves. Everyone tells themselves, oh, that's too crazy. Oh, I can't do that. oh, that seems impossible. And the thing is, I used to do that too. Growing up, you would watch movies and then you would see these actors with these crazy physiques, and then you would just be like, damn, like that's insane. And then you would see how they would, in the interviews, in the interviews for the movie or whatever, they would be like, oh, I had to diet super hard. I had to do all these things to get this physique, and they would make it seem like extremely hard. And then as a kid, I would just think in my head like, oh, that seems extremely hard, right? And then now I have a better physique than 99% of people. And was it difficult at first? I wouldn't even say, it was difficult. You know what I mean? I wouldn't really say that. I would just say yes. At first I was uncomfortable because it wasn't a habit that I had, right? It wasn't something that I just did without thinking about, because habits are things we do without consciously thinking about them, right? When I pick up my phone when I wake up, that's an unconscious thing that I just do. And I hadn't developed that habit for the gym when I first started. And you could say at first it was difficult. Yeah, it was, because it wasn't a habit. But the thing is, once I did it consistently, it just became unconscious, and I just started doing it. And I had to, because I had to keep working on that progress. And I built a certain sense of pride about it, because when you have pride in something, it motivates you to work 50 times harder, right? If you have pride in your dog, you're gonna take care of your dog. You're gonna treat your dog with love, right? And I take pride in how I look, and that's exactly why I have healthy lifestyles. That's exactly why I eat healthy and I do all these things. And yeah, and it's like, growing up, I would put myself in that box. Of, oh, that's too difficult, I can't do that. Oh, that seems out of reach, I can't do that. But I always understood that I was meant for greater. I always understood my potential. I always understood that my potential was unlimited, because I never put myself in that box. And you're the one who decides how much potential you have. You're the one who decides where you're destined to go. You decide where your destiny is. Because the truth is, some people are destined to just win. Some people are destined to constantly win. And some people are destined to fail. Some people are destined to give up after every single thing that happens in their life that might discourage them, or they're just destined to get discouraged after one failure, when in reality that one failure is what gets you closer to where you want to be and who you want to become. Because it's not about having those things, it's about being the person that deserves it. It's about being the person that deserves this physique. And this physique is a literal direct representation to the discipline and the hard work and the consistency that I've been doing my whole entire life. I've been working out since I was 16 years old, 3 years. When I was 16, I understood the value of starting early. This is where most people go wrong. They wait because they think they have time. They wait because they think they have all the time in the world, when in reality, time is the most fleeting thing that happens in our life. Time is not promised. Guys, we're 8 months into the year. 8 months into the year. It's insane. It's insane to think about it. 2026 is around the corner. The places I see myself in 2026 and 2027 and 2028, it's an astronomical place to where I am today, because of the consistency and because of how dedicated I am to what I do. And not many people are as consistent as I am. Not many people are willing to put in the work when they're not seeing the results they want to see. And the reason why is because most people just put those self-limitations on themselves. And that's the most saddening thing in the whole entire world. Seeing people that have so much potential, yet they limit themselves by their own limitation. And because they don't want to give up the vices, they don't want to give up these things that are just holding them back. It's very sad to see. It's very sad to see people with so much potential, yet they're not willing to sacrifice anything. They're not willing to sacrifice their old life to reach their new life and to reach places they've never been. But if you're watching this video, if you're still watching this video, it's because you understand the value of sacrifice, so that you can, reach places you've never been, so that you can become a person that you aren't yet. Because the truth is, it's like we always have better. We always have, untapped potential that's in us. And, the fact that we have that just means that where we are today and who we are today isn't the person that we need to be in order to deserve, to be that person. But what do I mean by that? I know I'm just saying these things, but what do I mean by that? We have a certain potential, but for us to reach that potential, we need to do different things than what we're doing today. So if you're doing certain things today, yet you're not in the positions that you wish to be in, you're not living the life that you want to be in, the first step is understanding that you have to make a change. Every single day of my life, I'm changing something. Even like these little small things, I'm changing something. Whether it's the way I speak, whether it's the way I think, whether it's, some limiting mindsets or limiting beliefs that I have to change constantly. Because if I'm not changing constantly, I'm not adapting to what works. Because the thing is, the frequency that we need to perform at to be, effective is a certain frequency that we're able to tap into. Because that's the same frequency that you, when you've accomplished all your goals, is at, right? Because if you want, to bench, 315, right? Let's say that's your goal. You need to tap into the frequency of the person who can bench 315. What does this person do? He overeats. He tracks his macros to the T. Me personally, I don't track my macros, but if my goal was to hit 315 and that was my goal, then I would have to start asking myself, okay, how am I gonna get there? And maybe, tracking my macros is gonna help me get there. But for me right now, personally, that isn't my goal. But I'm saying if that is your goal, maybe you have to track your macros. Maybe you have to progressively overload every single time. Maybe you have to push yourself relentlessly. Maybe you have to, fail many times on the bench. You have to fail over and over until you hit that 315. And it's like you need to tap into the frequency of the person who can bench 315. And that person who benches 315 does that. He fails constantly. He eats whole foods. He eats really good foods. He eats a lot. He prioritizes protein. He does all these certain things. He doesn't drink alcohol. He doesn't, do drugs. And the truth is, you can become that person today. And as long as you just tap into that frequency, the goal that you want to achieve is just going to inevitably just fall into your lap. It's just going to be inevitable because of the choices that you're making today. And it's the same thing with every single other goal that you're trying to make. And it's like me personally, I have all these goals, right? I already told you guys I want to move out to Miami, or I will move out to Miami by next year, right? By me being 20 years old. And the way I'm going to do that is by tapping into the frequency of the person that has already accomplished those goals. What does he do? He wakes up at 5 a.m. Why do you guys think I wake up at 5 a.m.? Why do you guys think I plan every single part of my day? Why do you guys think I'm so intentional with every single choice? Why do you guys think I'm making so many sacrifices? It's because I'm becoming that person today. Just a few things that I've had to sacrifice was, for one of them, right? It was just having fun, right? Going out with my friends, spending time with my family, doing things that I enjoy doing, playing basketball. I don't remember the last time I picked up a basketball. This used to be one of my favorite hobbies. I used to love playing basketball. I was one of the best basketball players, of all time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really good at basketball, you feel me? And it's like I haven't even played basketball in so much, and it's because of these sacrifices that I've had to make. So I haven't, hung out with my friends in a minute, and do I miss having fun? A part of me does, of course. But at the same time, I understand that I set these goals out and I have to accomplish them. It's not a matter of if. It's a matter of I have to, because I said I will do it. And that's exactly why I'm so consistent with everything. That's exactly why I sacrifice having fun. I sacrifice all these things. It's because I have a burden on myself. And I have a burden to accomplish these things. And I understand that I'm happy that these things aren't easy. It's not easy to accomplish the goals that I want to do, but it being hard is what gives it value. The difficulty of it is what makes me appreciate it more, and it's what builds me as a person, right? I feel like my mental maturity has just evolved so much, and I've become so much mature than how I was 5 months ago, because I forced myself to. I put pressure on myself. You know, a lot of you guys don't understand the pressure that I put on myself to perform, the pressure I put on myself that I can't just fucking sleep in. And that's exactly why I wake up immediately, because of the self-pressure I put on myself. Because if you're not imposing the pressure on yourself, if you're not building the habits that you want, you know, to achieve your goals, then life is going to automatically impose them on you, right? Because if you don't take care of your health now, if you don't build healthy habits now, and you just keep eating out, you know, you keep eating bullshit, guess what? You're gonna have an illness in 10 years. Guess what? You're not gonna be confident now. Guess what? You're not gonna have energy now. And it's bigger than just, you know, just being, bro, it's literally like, bro, you're not gonna have energy. You're not gonna perform to your highest ability. And you're not gonna become the highest potential of yourself. And you're gonna perform at maybe 70%, 60% of what you can truly do. But I understand that if I can eat healthy, fuel myself right, you know, I don't give a fuck about the taste. I give a fuck about how I'm gonna feel after. If I can, you know, just work out consistently, build the right body, that's gonna lead to me having the right mind. I'm gonna translate those same things into my business. I'm gonna translate those same things into the relationships with the people I have in my life. And we're just gonna build each other together. You know what I mean? Because, you know, those are the most important things. And one thing I noticed is that ever since I started eating healthy, I'm hypersensitive to bad foods. I'm hypersensitive to things that are limiting me. And it's the same thing with my mindset. You know, if I'm around a person who has a limiting mindset, if I'm around a person who doesn't think the same way I do, I'm hypersensitive to it, and I just limit, you know, I limit the amount of time I'm around, you know, people who have limiting mindsets, because those things are contagious. Like contagious and negative limiting mindsets and you know, bad mindsets, like, bro, those things are contagious. And if you're around that negative person for a long enough time, you know, it's gonna start infecting your brain, it's gonna start infecting your mind. And it's the same thing with the positive mindset. If you're around somebody who has no limiting beliefs, somebody who understands your potential, somebody who understands that you're the GOAT, and he only reaffirms positive affirmations into your life, and he only uplifts you constantly, that is just gonna bring you to that next level, and that's gonna push you to become so much better, because you're around that positive energy. You know what I mean? And it's like, they say that iron sharpens iron, right? And it's the same thing. It's like, if you're around negativity, it's gonna bring you down. And those are some of the most valuable lessons. And a lot of people don't understand the value of sacrifice, right? They only do what they feel like doing. You know, I wake up at 5 a.m. I do all these things, and for me, waking up at 5 a.m. is not any easier than it is for you. It's not any easier from the average person. It's still the same level of difficulty, but the difference about me is that I do it because these stacks of discipline, these stacks of doing things that I don't feel like doing, are gonna stack up so big eventually, to the point where it's going to cause an exponential growth. And then everybody's gonna wonder, how did that overnight success happen? But they didn't realize that this was not overnight success. This was a year, 2 years, 3 years of relentless discipline, of relentless sacrifice. And you only saw that period of exponential growth. And that's where most people go wrong. And I want to document my journey, and I want to speak to you guys through this camera, so that you can understand that you can start from the bottom and make it all the way to the top. And just inspiring somebody and having an impact on other people, so that they can too, you know, improve their lives in monumental ways. That is the most important thing. Because like I've said a million times before, is that difficulty is what gives these things value. You know, difficulty is what builds you as a person. It's not meant to be easy. Waking up early, going in that cold shower is not meant to be easy. But it's like, bro, are you really gonna be scared of cold water? Like, bro, your body's made of 70% water, guys. You know what I noticed as well, like, you know, when I first started going into cold showers, like, okay, it was difficult, it was hard, and the first, you know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'm not gonna lie, it was cold, extremely cold every single time, and it is still cold every single time to this day, but I realized that my body's more adapted to standing in that cold, and I'm not as scared, I'm not as fearful about it. You know, the first, you know, 5 to 10 seconds, okay, yeah, it's super cold, but after that, it's like, dog, after that, it's like, bro, I'm used to it. You know what I mean? It's like you get used to these, you get used to being uncomfortable, and once you're able to get used to being uncomfortable, bro, your potential's untapped, and people are afraid of your untapped potential. People see how great and how much potential you have. You know, ever since I was a kid, one thing my family always said was Noel va a llegar lejos. Noel va a llegar lejos. Ever since I was a kid, everyone always said Noel va a llegar lejos, and maybe they saw a certain trait in me that that. But the truth is, I think that the reason why everyone, oh, but you know, for the English speakers, if you guys don't know what that means, it means Noel is going to make it far. Noel is gonna make it far, and I think that, and they would say this ever since I was a little kid. You know, I was always gifted, right? In fifth grade, you know, I made it to the math bowl. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's like the best kids at math in the school, and you guys just compete against math. And it's like, bro, I wouldn't even try. Like, I was just naturally gifted, and I'm not saying this to flex. And that was me when I was, what, fifth grade, probably like 8 or 9 years old, whatever it is, maybe 10. But you know, I was always naturally gifted, right? But the only thing that led me back was that I would get complacent. It's like, okay, I was really good at math when I was in fifth grade, and you know, I didn't try. You know, I would do the homework, yeah, but I never really felt an incentive to try because I didn't know why I was doing it, right? And obviously I was 10 years old. It is what it is, you know. And then what else was I good at? You know, I started playing the piano in middle school. I was really good. I was really gifted at the piano. You know, I caught on to things quicker than most people. You know, I would start playing video games, right? Every single video game I played, I was better than everybody. You know, I used to be a pro Fortnite player. I used to do all these things, and it was because I was naturally gifted at whatever I did. You know, I started working out in the gym, and okay, I honestly didn't even see much progress, you know, the first couple of months, and the reason why was because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, right? But the more consistent I started being, I started realizing that other people didn't have the same level of consistency as me. Other people weren't as dedicated as me, and that's why I surpassed everybody else. And I started seeing progress extremely quickly. I started surpassing all these people that had been in the gym way longer than me, and it was because of a gift that God blessed me with, and it was the ability to become good at whatever I did. And the thing is, a lot of you guys watching this, you guys have that same ability, and you understand your potential. You have that ability to become good at whatever you try to do. And you know, I always had good grades. You know what I mean? I always had good grades, and because I understood that you know, my parents always instilled in me the value of education. You know, the value of, you know, the value of educating yourself. And I'm so glad they did that, because now I carry those same principles as a fully grown adult, right? I'm 19 years old, and I understand the value of educating myself and learning more on a daily basis. You know, I mean, and education looks different for everybody, but you know, learning more is something that I'm very, you know, I appreciate every single day. It's like, you know, I read now. I enjoy reading. I used to hate reading, right? But now I'm reading Atomic Habits. You know, I'm reading the Power of Awareness. I'm reading all these you know, amazing books, and I've learned so much. And I just, everything that I learn, right, I just say it in my videos, and I spread all the knowledge that I've learned to other people. I spread all the wisdom that I've learned to other people, and that's the most valuable thing, spreading what you're gifted with. And you know, another thing my parents always instilled in me is faith, right? Believing in God, you know, believing in Jesus Christ, you know, being thankful for what you have. And I'm so grateful they did that, because as a fully grown adult, you know, I'm you know, I'm valuing those same exact things, and I'm living every single life with the same exact principles. And I just want to keep making these videos. I want to keep documenting all these certain things so I can look back on it in the future, so I can inspire somebody else, and I can inspire somebody else who's in the same position as me, and they can understand that, bro, the true reality is that it's not hard to be exceptional. It's not hard to accomplish your goals because nobody else is trying to do it. Nobody else shoots so high to the point where everyone calls them crazy. And the reason why is because most people just follow the crowd, and most people do what statistically is favorable. In reality, it's like if you want to make it to astronomical places, you have to take risks. You have to separate yourself from everybody. And the truth is that everybody is average. You know what I mean? It's called average for a reason. And if you look at the average person, they live their life by fear. They don't want to they don't want to take risks. They what's something else about the average person? They let failures discourage them. They're not willing to go all in. They have like 50 million backup plans, and the average person feels threatened by people who don't have those same limitations that they set on themselves. And one thing I realize is that I upset a lot of people. I upset a lot of people because they see that I don't limit myself the same way they limit themselves, and it scares them. It scares them that somebody else, has that certain view on the world. Because if you want to accomplish insane things, it all starts with your mindset, because your mindset is the foundation which your life grows into. And the thing that separated me from most people was my mindset. Even when I was a pro Fortnite player, before I would get into a game, I would work on my builds, I would practice my aim, I would do all these things so that by the time I got into a game, I was already warmed up and I was already better than everyone else, right? And I carry those same things into everything else that I do, right? I always work on how can I practice on these little things, how can I practice my aim, how can I practice my builds, how can I practice all these small things. And then once I practice on everything, it stacks up and it leads to me just surpassing everyone else. And that's really how you get ahead of everybody. It's by practicing those little small things. But it comes with sacrifice, right? Because it's not fun. Sometimes practicing your aim, practicing your builds, sometimes it's not fun. Sometimes you just want to go all in. You want to get into the game. But once you get too ahead of yourself is when you limit yourself. And, if the number one goal on my mind is how can I accomplish my goals, it's going to come with me doing things that aren't necessarily fun. It's going to come with me making sacrifices. And it's going to come with me being a whole entirely new person. But yeah, one thing I want to say is that if any of you guys are looking to get into the best physical and mental shape of your lives, you need to understand it's going to come with you making sacrifices. And it's the same way if you have a fucking dirty room that you haven't cleaned in a year. Dog, it's going to take you a minute to clean that room, right? It's going to be fucking annoying to clean that room. And it's the same thing with your physique, bro. It's gonna be uncomfortable to get to it's gonna be uncomfortable to clean that room because look at how dirty it is. It's the same thing with your physique. It's gonna be uncomfortable to build the right habits and to achieve your dream physique because you've just built up stacks of you've built up stacks of not making progress towards achieving, your dream physique. And it's the same thing with your room. But if you're just able to build the habit of just taking out that trash every single time it piles up, dog, you're not gonna have to go through that fucking annoying ass process of cleaning your room, because every single day when trash just piled up, you just took it out. And you need to understand it comes with sacrifices. Achieving your dream physique is not cheap. It's not cheap. You need to invest in gym memberships. You need to invest in the right foods. You need to invest into a coach that's gonna, bring you to the results you want to see. And that's if you want the top tier results. If you want free results, bro, then free efforts are gonna give you free results. And it's like if you want minimal results, then just put in minimal effort. But if you want the best possible results, dog, that shit's not gonna be free. It's not gonna be easy. And you need to understand it comes with sacrifices. And every single person that you see that has the physique that you want, dog, they didn't get there from fucking free efforts. They didn't get there from free results. And the reason why, having a good physique is so respected, it's that you can't fake having a good physique. Even if you're on steroids, it still takes a lot of effort to achieve that. And effort is what gives value, and effort is what gives respect. You know what I mean? But yeah, you guys can't expect to accomplish those things that you want to accomplish, without sacrifices. And I'm telling you guys this from experience, from me sacrificing so many things, to get to the places that I want to be. But yes, were those sacrifices uncomfortable? Yes, but were they worth it? 1,000%. 1,000% they were worth it. 1,000% it was worth it. And it's because I understand what it feels like to be on both sides. When you understand what it feels like to be on both sides, you understand the value of the sacrifices you made, and you understand why it's so worth it. But my fault, guys. But I just want to say thank you guys, for watching this far, watching this video. And if you've watched this far, that is proof in it of itself that you understand the potential that you have for your life. And if you've made it this far, it's probably because you resonate with something that I said, you relate with something that I said, and you understand the potential that you have in your life, and you know that you're meant for the best possible things. You know that you're meant for the best possible things, and to achieve those best possible things in whatever area of life, it comes with sacrifices. And no, they're not easy. Sometimes they're some of the hardest decisions you ever have to make, but they are worth it. They are worth it. That is the most valuable lesson. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching this video. I love each and every one of you. And I'm looking forward to continuing to document my journey, continuing to document every single thing I'm going through each and every day, right? It's August what? August 16th, 2025, right? And 4 months until 2026. And hopefully in the future somebody's gonna watch this video and feel inspired to improve their life. You know what I mean? I understand how young I am. I understand that I need to take advantage of every single day that I'm living, and I need to understand that my potential is unlimited. I'm never going to make it. It doesn't matter how far I get in this life. I'm never going to become satisfied with whatever I have, because I understand that the moment you become satisfied is the moment that you die, because you're either growing or you're dying. There is no in between. There is no in between in whatever you're trying to do in life. And guys, just don't take the easy way out. And whatever you're doing, don't take the easy way out. You need to build discipline. That's why I wake up early. That's why I go in these cold showers. It gives me an energy boost. Sacrifice on my end gives me an energy boost. Sacrifice on my end builds me as a person. Sacrifice on my end builds my own self-respect for myself. I start respecting myself more, and I start understanding that I deserve everything that I want. I am the goal. I deserve everything because I put in the work. And the I don't want to say the universe, because that sounds that sounds gay, but it's like, I think that God rewards those who sacrifice the most. The reason why God designed our lives to be hard, to give up these sacrifices, is because those sacrifices is what gives, us serving Him value. You know what I mean? And the reason why lust is one of the hardest sins to overcome, and the reason why God even allowed us to feel lust, is so that our loyalty and our value in our relationship with Him can become strengthened, because of how hard it is to strengthen that relationship with Him. You know what I mean? That's what I truly believe. It's not meant to be easy, but it is worth it. It's not meant to be easy, but it's worth it. Every single time I'm going through a hardship, I remind myself it's not meant to be easy, but it's worth it. It's not meant to be easy, but it's worth it. But guys, thank you guys for watching the video. I love you guys, each and every one of you. You know, if you guys have any questions or anything, or if you resonate with anything that I said, just go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. And you know, I'm just gonna post this raw, right? I'm not gonna cut it. I don't even watch back these videos, because the way I think about it in my mind is that I'm just authentically speaking from the heart, and I'm just speaking it in this video. And I'm just speaking, you know, from my own point of view, from my own experience, and I'm just documenting my journey along the way. And so yeah, but look, if any of you guys, you know, you're looking to get into the best physical and mental shape of your life, and you know, you're ready to make the first step, which is to take action, go ahead and book a call with me down below, and I'm going to break down step by step how I'm going to help you guys get there. You know, and like I said, guys, this is for people who are genuinely serious. This is for people who are ready to get the best possible results. Like, these are literally the best possible results. But to get the best possible results, it comes with the best possible effort, and you need to make sacrifices. You know what I mean? And that's what gives it value, and that's what allows you to make it to the next level. And yeah, I'm looking forward to speaking with many of you. And thank you guys for making it this far. Thank you guys for watching this video and coming along with me on this journey. You know, if you guys resonated with what I said, just like, comment, subscribe. And you know, I'm looking forward to you know, continue to document my journey. But yeah, let's get it.